Join us over the next few weeks as we follow the route of the stunning Northumberland 250. We've not finished, have we?
No, we found something else.
Come with us. We've come here, Mary Queen of Scots house. She visited here in 1566. It's believed that she lodged here during a visit to Jedburgh to conduct a royal inspection of the border country. Whilst here she was taken ill and nearly died after an epic journey to Hermitage Castle as she awaited her execution in 1587. Legend has it that she said, "Would that I died at Jedburgh." She was the only surviving legitimate child of James V of Scotland. At 6 days old, her father died, and she inherited the throne. It was kept running by other people until she became an adult. Governed by regents, first by the heir to the throne, James Hamilton, Earl of Arran, and by her mother, Mary of Guise. In 1548, she was betrothed to Francis. She was just 6 years old, who was the Dauphin of France, and she was sent to be brought up in France, where she'd be safe from the invading English forces during the rough wooing that we've mentioned before. She married him 10 years later in 1558, becoming Queen Consort of France from his accession to the throne in 1559 until his death just a few months later in December 1560. She married another couple of times. She was imprisoned at Loch Leven Castle. On the 24th of July 1567, she was forced to abdicate in favour of her 1-year-old son, James VI. After an unsuccessful attempt to regain the throne, she fled southwards, seeking the protection of her first cousin, once removed, Elizabeth I of England. As a great-granddaughter of Henry VII of England, Mary had once claimed Elizabeth's throne as her own, and was considered the legitimate sovereign of England by many English Catholics, including participants in a rebellion known as the Rising of the North. Perceiving Mary as a threat, Elizabeth had been confined in various castles and manor houses in the interior of England. And after 18 and a half years in captivity, Mary was found guilty of plotting to assassinate Elizabeth, and in 1586 she was beheaded the following year at Fotheringhay Castle, which is in Northamptonshire, and her remains are buried in Westminster Abbey.
Which seems strange. They'd behead her for treason, virtually,
yeah,
and then put her in Westminster in the Abbey.
Yeah. This stone was carved almost 1300 years ago, and it formed the base of a large Christian high cross in the Bongate area of Jedburgh. The cross base is unparalleled in Anglo-Saxon carved stones. Its rich decoration of animals entangled in interlaced vines is in the tradition of Christian carving of the 8th and 9th centuries AD. An art of that type was designed and carved to tell stories from the Bible.
Should we go inside then?
I think we should. Oh.
Hello.
Have you visited us here before?
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
So you might not be aware we're run by a local charity here, which means we are completely free for everyone to visit us.
Mm-hmm.
So you can donate before you leave, but there's not an obligation to do so. So down here's our gift shop. The main museum's behind you up the stairs there.
Lovely.
Lots of information up there and plenty to see. But if you've got any questions at all, you come back this way. So feel free to ask me.
Thank you.
To use with your cameras, photography is absolutely encouraged.
Right.
Feel free to take as many photos as you want, share them wherever you want, and
Brilliant.
let people know what we've all got here.
We will do.
We
Thank
will.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your visit.
Thank you.
first floor for information about Mary's early years. Entering the banqueting hall. Mary's early years as ruler of Scotland were marked by fun, feasting and pageantry. She was an expert needlewoman and often sat with her ladies-in-waiting, embroidering and stitching. And this is an example of 17th century. This is an example of 17th century Scottish applique work. Shows two scenes that relate to Mary Queen of Scots. Again, royal history. I'm not strong on, are you?
No.
This painting cannot be regarded as an accurate likeness of Mary, having been painted in 1635, half a century after her death. Apart from the few portraits which can be authenticated, only the coinage of the period gives us an idea of what Mary really looked like. Despite the shortness of her reign, many new coins were struck. In 1565, a new coin, a silver royal, was minted to commemorate the marriage of Mary to her second husband, Lord Darnley. Cross and Sacred Heart. Silver Cross and Sacred Heart, which in 1871 belonged to a lady living in Ceylon in Sri Lanka, and according to tradition, the replicas of those worn by Mary, Queen of Scots. What's behind this secret panel?
Guard rope.
Colloquially, it's the long drap.
A toilet.
Toodaloo. Mary's charisma and the dramatic story of her life gave rise to something approaching relic mania after her death. And a considerable number of objects have been collected over the years, cherished because of their possible connection to the Scottish Queen. And here are some examples that they've gathered of those items. The remains of this shoe, said to have been worn by Mary on a visit to Jedburgh, was preserved by the Allen family, retainers in the house at the time of her stay. Mary is reported to have discarded the shoe because of the broken heel. And this is a lock of Mary Stuart's hair contained in a rosewood casket. From what I was reading, it did actually become a bit of Mary mania. Because of her reputation. They are the characters over there, are they, who were involved in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few of them.
There are.
Another floor now, and there are more bits and pieces. A thimble, French enamelled, said to have been accidentally left by Mary when, on the ride to Hermitage Castle, the royal party stopped to allow a repair to her dress. And a pear wood cigar box said to have been made from a pear tree planted by Mary in the grounds of this house. You wonder how many are true, don't you?
Yes.
And this room that we're in now was Mary's bedroom.
Not massive for a queen.
No. This cannon was given to the Kerr family by Mary Queen of Scots as a gift when she stayed in Jedburgh in 1566. No, it's not a big room, is it?
No.
This is a copy of Mary's last letter. It's one of the most poignant ever written. It explains to the King of France, brother of her beloved first husband, that her Catholicism would not allow her to accept the stay of execution offered by Elizabeth if she agreed to renounce her faith. And it was written on the 8th of February 1587. So in a lot of ways she had a very sad life. This is Mary's death mask. Mary's death on the execution block at the hand of Queen Elizabeth was characterised by her dignity, bearing and composure. It was common to strike a mask from the severed head as soon as possible after death. The original appearance of the mask would be white and unembellished. This example, which was found by the late Dr. Charles Hepburn of Glasgow in Peterborough, where Mary was first buried, it's been hand painted. With reluctance, Elizabeth, Queen of England, signed the death warrant of Mary, Queen of Scots. Mary had always been a threat to her power. As far back as 1558, Elizabeth's claim to the throne was questioned because of her illegitimacy. Mary spent her last evening at Fotheringay Castle with her servants, praying and writing. She composed her will and allocated her remaining possessions. At 6 o'clock, she dressed in black satin gown over a red velvet petticoat with a white veil that reached to her feet. Accompanied by 6 of her servants, she mounted the execution platform in the Great Hall at Fotheringay. As the death warrant was read, Mary prayed, then covering her eyes with a gold fringed cloth, she laid her head on the executioner's block. She uttered her last words, "Into thy hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit." And with 2 blows of the axe, Mary was dead. And it was strange that she was beheaded and then buried at Westminster Abbey. But after her execution at Fotheringay, Mary's body rested for 25 years in Peterborough Cathedral until her son James VI of Scotland and First of England ordered a sumptuous tomb to be prepared in Westminster Abbey for his mother. In 1612, her remains were reburied alongside other rulers and today lie among those of British sovereigns. ironically the founder of their line and the justification of her declaration. Just tucked away, isn't it? It's just off the main street though, really.
I suppose the town's grown up round it.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'd imagine it would be in some quite sumptuous ground.
Yes, I would think. Again, if you're in Jedburgh, don't miss it. Really tells the story of her life and death. And as we said in there, not part of history we really knew. Now it really is time to move on, we promise. Well, we've left civilization now, we're getting back into the countryside and we're heading to somewhere called Carter's Bar. Really climbing again now, aren't we?
Yeah. Still on the main road.
Okay.
It's
Some nice views. Actually still in Scotland, aren't we? Just.
And I think Carter Bar will be more or less on the border.
Historically, something happened there, which is why we're going. And plus it's on the route, it is on the Northumberland 250 route. There's a view. Cheviots. You're a good boy, aren't you? Yes, you are. We're on the border. Views of the Cheviot Hills.
That's Scotland that way.
And going that way, we've got England. This was the location of truce days, at which the wardens of the English and Scottish marches would meet to dispense cross-border justice. Truce days are also held at Carlisle and Berwick-upon-Tweed. And in 1575, Carter Bar was the scene of the raid of the Reedswire, one of the last large-scale battles between the English and the Scots. And in the 19th century, a toll road was constructed from Carter Bar to the market town of Hoyk, necessitating the building of a bridge, the Bonchester Bridge, over Rule Water. Roman legions invaded after AD 79, building Deer Street, which passes 5 miles east of here. They subdued native tribes in various They subdued native British tribes in various campaigns before pulling back their frontier to Hadrian's Wall. Tribal boundaries switched regularly for centuries under the Gaelic army of King Malcolm III, when he decisively beat the Anglo-Saxons at Carham-on-Tweed. And the border then assumed more or less its present position, confirmed by the Treaty of York in 1237. The death of Alexander III, King of Scots, in 1286 led to 3 centuries of savage Scottish-English conflict, with frequent wars and invasions, continuous raiding and general anarchy in the borderlands. A Scots army passed this way in 1388 to the Great Battle of Otterburn. This was the era of the Border Reivers, or Moss Troopers, lawless families raiding back and forth with scant regard to life, property, or even kings. And they placed the frontier under the ineffective control of the Wardens of the Middlemarch. I heard of Middlemarch. That's a place as well, isn't it? Or is
And
it just a
story.
book?
And a book.
A meeting of the Scottish and English wardens in 1575 occasioned the last fatal border skirmish, the Reedswye Fray, on the slopes to the east of this spot. The union of 1603 and 1707 finally brought an end to the military conflict between the two countries. We're standing at a height now of 1,371 feet above sea level. Now we've got the sign for England and welcome to Northumberland. So we're back in Northumberland after briefly leaving it. England's border country.